and proceed. Oh, let's say together our mission. Our mission to lovingly inspire transformation and be of service to the world. Reminds us of why we are here. And go ahead, Ruth Ellen, please.
Good morning. The title for today's daily word is strength. Centered in divine strength, I am confident and peaceful. If I find myself struggling to bear the weight of a heavy load, if I am wondering how much farther I can travel or how much longer I can carry on, I rely on my spiritual strength to keep me going. When I align my thoughts with this divine gift and not on the weight I carry or the distance I travel, I am tapping into the power of God expressing as me. Through divine strength, I am renewed and refreshed. I have everything I need to stay the course. Knowing the presence of God comes to me through many channels, I may ask for help and accept it graciously when it comes. I give myself breaks and make time for prayer and my other spiritual practices. Through it all, I remain strong and grateful for God within me. And from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10, finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his power. Amen.
Patty, you are muted, but I'm assuming you're asking me to do the opening prayer, which I am delighted to do. So let's all take a breath as we open ourselves to the magic of this moment, the power of this moment. We are stronger than we think. We are here to transform this world, to inspire transformation, to lovingly serve the world. And so we take this moment to dedicate and devote our time together today to this greater notion of being the change in the world, of being the presence of love, of being the change that we are seeking in our world. And so as we open to this, we allow Spirit to move through us, to be our guide, to speak through us, to show us the way in everything that we do on this day. So we dedicate this time to the well-being of all, and we give thanks for the opportunity to come together as one. And so it is. Amen.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Oh, God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything and every little thing that I need. And I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. Oh, God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything, everything I need. God gives me everything, every little thing, every little thing I need. God gives me.
So, thank you, Reverend Jane Simmons, for being here with us this morning, and it's your turn. Take it away.
Here we go. Good morning, everyone. So it's so great to be with you all again. I always enjoy my time with you wonderful folks. Look forward to it and happy to be here. Well, we all have, know that the Beatles made a very bold declaration decades ago with their inspired song, All We Need Is Love. And they may have been correct in identifying our great need to have love. There is a great need for us to have love. But what they missed, in my opinion, was humanity's even greater need to give love. It's not just about having love, we also need to give it. And the reason for that is because we are love. We actually are love. Oops. Oh, there we go. Love is what we are. And so what we need to have, what we need to give, happens to be what we are. And this is good news for us to understand that love is what we are. But if that's true, that love is what we are, why do we see so much evidence of anger and hate and unkind behavior? There is so much violence, divisiveness. We can look around the world and see what's happening. There's nastiness on social media. There's this us and them mentality that seems to permeate our world. In fact, win-lose stories are cemented right into our cultural hard drive, is the way I've heard it said. What will it take to change that? What's going to take to change that? So here's our question we want to look at. Do we in the New Thought movement, the Unity movement, have a role to play in healing the divide that is showing up in our world right now? And the second question, is the time now? And here's my answer to both, a resounding yes. Yes, I believe that our movement is poised to help bring forth this new way of being, and that we're on the cusp of making it happen. And as we celebrate Valentine's Day this week, it seems only fitting to talk about love. However, you won't find this to be your typical Valentine's Day talk, if there is such a thing, because part of acknowledging and honoring the true power that love is can happen when we start to explore its different aspects, explore and honor the amazing effects that can actually be measured when many of us join together in loving meditation, heart-centered meditation. At the same time, it's so good to see what the effects can be, but we also want to become aware of what may be blocking us from expressing that compassion and that love. Both of these aspects of our spiritual journey are vital for us to consider when we're exploring the power of love. But I believe this is a time of awakening that love. I really do. And through that power, midwifing, if you will, the emergence of evolutionary cultural transformation, a new world. And this evolving culture that is going to come forth is going to include an increased ability to appreciate others with different, even opposing perspectives. That's one of the skills we want to really develop. So how do we get there? Well, we contribute to helping it emerge by bridging the gap. You know, this can be our role. And the first thing to do is to withdraw from participation in the us and them mindset that we swim in. I mean, this is rampant in our culture. So learning how to withdraw from that and knowing the very little that I do about shadow projection, about how I have the tendency to project what I don't like about myself onto someone or something else, right? Make them the problem. And also what I know about how cultures in the past have grown and have evolved, and seeing the brain science and the heart science that's behind it all. Well, it's just become increasingly apparent to me that there is a new paradigm of spirituality that wants to emerge. And I think that Unity and other New Thought communities are well equipped to lead the way. I really believe that. Why? Well, because we have this, foundation belief that there's only one life, living myriads of ways, living itself through and as each one of us. One presence, one power. We believe that the divine is encoded within every heart, within all beings. And we believe that we create our experience of life, our experience of reality, through the thoughts, through the beliefs that routinely occupy our psyche. Let's put it that way. And that what we're seeing outside of ourselves is filtered through those thoughts and beliefs, and so is a reflection of what's happening within us. And so these aren't just inconvenient truths to me, right? They are actually the principles that we espouse in Unity. And if we really believe them, if we want to live our lives as if they were true, then it's going to take a little more than just me giving it lip service. You see, I have to be mindful that if I truly want to make a difference, if I want to inspire people to make a difference, if I want to serve the world in becoming a better place, then I want to take action that embodies sort of this collective vision of a more peaceful world. And the opportunity is ripe right now to step up to help bring it forth. And we do that through the power of love. The social activist Dorothy Day poses this question. The greatest challenge of the day is, how do we bring about a revolution of the heart? How do we do that? And it has to start within each one of us. So it's one thing to start a revolution out there with bodies. How do you do a revolution of the heart? And it all begins within. And then just slowly multiplies, gains, more momentum as more and more of us join together, and we create this coherent energetic field of love and compassion. And that it's within that field that change and transformation can take place. So I have a question for you that we're going to try to answer this morning by the end of the talk. How many meditators does it take to change a culture? And no, it's not a joke. It's an actual question. So I invite you to think about that as we explore the power of the heart this morning. So I want to begin with a rather unusual question. Do you all know what a random number generator is? Well, oddly enough, it's a device that generates random number sequences. It's a random number generator, and it's like rolling the dice over and over again. And these generators are used in the scientific realm for randomized studies. But a curious thing has been noticed about these generators, and that is that even though they are set up to be totally random, they tend to become patterned at times. And those times are when there is focused, collective, emotionally based attention happening. So for instance, when Princess Diana's funeral was being televised, random number generators around the world became patterned. When 9/11 happened down here in the US, same thing occurred. And it seems like when there is focused attention connected to an emotional response of the heart, it has a measurable effect. Now, I was quite fascinated with this. And when I was writing my dissertation for my doctoral degree, I did some research on it. Now, my dissertation has the very catchy title of, wait for it, here it comes, The Biologic Effects of the Interventions of Heart-Generated Coherence and Focused Intention on Distilled Water Using Plant Growth as an Objective Measure. Kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? And what that means, what that boils down to is that I was studying the effects of having people come together and to create heart coherence, which is what we do when we participate in heart-centered meditation. And I was measuring those effects. And so as the time was approaching for my research study to begin, that year for Christmas, I asked my husband, Gary, to get me a random number generator. Now, I know it's on the top of everyone's Christmas list. You know, it was a very sought after item. Now, he could have just bought me a pair of dice and, you know, put them in a stocking and made a joke of it, but he didn't. He actually bought me the software of a random number generator. And so I had my own one. And so, but guess what happened when I did my intervention of having people get into the heart coherence together? Unbeknownst to the group, I didn't tell them that this was happening. I had the random number generator working quietly in the background, just generating random numbers over and over. And when I checked the results later, I was astounded to see that during the exact time that the group joined together and became heart-centered, I was leading them in this whole thing, and then created this coherent energetic field and sustained it for a certain amount of time, the generator became totally patterned. This is what it looked like on the graph, if you need to, for those of you who might find such things interesting. I was quite fascinated by it. It blew my mind, in fact. But there's lots of amazing research about the power of love, of group coherence, from a 23% reduction in the crime rate of Washington, D.C. You might have remembered that when they did a 2-month prayer intervention towards Washington, crime and terrorist activity reduction in the 80s in the Middle East through group meditation. There's work on, you know, there's tons of research on distance healing, plant growth enhanced through the power of the heart. Quantum scientist William Tiller measured the effects of focused intention and discovered 2 things that were unexpected there. The first was that continued intentional heart-centered group meditation actually conditioned the lab where this group was meeting. They would come in every week, they would practice, and they could measure the changes in the atmosphere of the lab that happened as they were sending love from their hearts. The second thing that he found out was that it had a cumulative effect. The more often they met, the stronger the effect, and the longer lasting. And he published a research paper on this, incredible, which scientifically illustrates the effects of creating sacred space and doing that over a long period of time. So if you ever are meeting with a group for prayer and you're doing this on a regular basis, it's having an effect, whether you know it or not, and it's a cumulative effect. I have a copy of this study if anyone's ever interested in reading it. I can email it to you. I was quite fascinated by it. But as the author and activist Bell Hooks says, the mind is a transmitter and receiver of energy. And when we raise our thought frequency of love, we transform ourselves and the world. So it's at frequency that we're transforming within our own body first. So all the cells of our body are blessed by this. And then we generate it, we radiate it out of the body, and it has an effect. So we should never be fooled into thinking that focused human collective emotionally strong intention is wimpy. It is not. It is not. It's powerful. Be still and know that I'm God. And I've heard meditation described as sitting still long enough for you to find you. And the you we're talking about here is your higher self, your real identity, who you've come here to be, the greater mind, however you want to think of it. And this is our work, to gather in meditation to let our true selves come forth as we create an energetic field of divine love, and then with intention, sharing it with all beings. And so the question becomes, well, will just doing that solve all the world's ills? And the answer is, well, no, there's inner work to be done as well. Because we may be expressions of divine love, but it's possible to have the flow of it get plugged up or covered in layers of self-created limitation caused by limiting beliefs that we may hold, starting with a belief in separation, believing someone or someone is to blame against me, that they're responsible for this, that it's that other side of the, divide, that they're the problem. And when we get stuck in those beliefs, we give away our power. We become totally powerless when we believe something or someone else is responsible for what's going on within me. So we have to do our internal work. Otherwise, guess what? We just carry around unwanted baggage, which is unhealed, shadow qualities, unfinished business from our past, however we want to think of it. But we carry that stuff around and then we busily project it out onto the other. And these are parts of ourselves that we have deemed unacceptable at some point in our lives, or they're unloved, they're exiled orphan parts. If you want to, study any of Carl Jung's work, it's about that. It's about taking those parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at or have pushed away, but then projecting them outward. That's what happens. As the Jesuit priest Richard Rohr says, this collective call, and he's talking about this call to bring forth a new world, a better place for everyone. But it can only be truly answered by those who have done their own inner work of self-mastery. Otherwise, he says, there's insufficient strength because we don't have enough connection to the truth of who we are to do the heavy lifting part of transforming society. So real words of wisdom. We have to go within. We have to do the work that is blocking the love from coming forth, and then we can do it, and we can get out there and make a difference. And so whenever I'm triggered by another's behavior, and it happens a lot to me, I just have to turn on the news and there it goes. I need to do the deeper work of seeing what it's mirroring for me. And then with self-compassion, with self-forgiveness, doing the integration work necessary that can neutralize my reactivity. See, I'm not trying to say that people's behavior doesn't need to change. What I am saying is that my reactivity to it, I want to neutralize that so that I can deal with it in a different way. And instead of lashing out from a place of powerlessness and fear. Have you ever had this experience where you can now respond with clarity and compassion rather than lashing out in powerlessness? Because that's what we do when we feel powerless. It's a whole different way of being when we can get into this coherent state and bring the peace that arises into the equation. Now there's room for change. Now there's room for transformation. And imagine the entire New Thought movement, Unities, Centers for Spiritual Living, Divine Science, all of us coming together and doing this healing work, using the mirror to help us. As Course in Miracles says, it's the privilege of the forgiven to forgive. When we forgive ourselves, now we can give that forgiveness outwards. But when the New Thought movement starts to learn how to do that, to do this, see it out there, forgive it in here, and then let the love we are be expressed, we start to use the mirror to see that what's happening, and then we do the internal work, and now we can respond with compassion. It's a whole different world. And here we're using the mirror. That is called spiritually motivated social action. That's true spiritually motivated social action. When we can use the mirror, see what it's showing us, do the healing work inside of ourselves, then take action. Do you see the difference of that? So is this work easy? Well, no, not for the ego, it's not. I'll tell you, it can feel like everything in me resists it. I would much rather project my stuff on somebody else. That feels way better than taking responsibility for parts of me that I have deemed unacceptable in the past, and bringing them back into the fold lovingly. But the truth is, because this is soul work, you see, we're doing soul work here. And every one of us has this dynamic powerhouse of universal benevolence within us. We are connected to spirit. We have the love that we are is within. And we can call on that power, this universal benevolence, to lift us, to carry us through the integrating process. But we have to make use of the secret sauce, and that means to come from love, to focus on solution, to find commonality, to seek out what connects us rather than divides us. Jimmy Fallon had an interesting and fun segment on his show a few years back now, where the reporter on the street found two people on opposite sides of the political spectrum and brought them together to find out what they had in common. And they did this with several pairs of people. And their commonalities range from both liking only ketchup on their hot dogs that was one thing they had in common, to sharing their favorite childhood television show that both of them had seen, to being fellow God lovers. Yes, that'd be good, but dog lovers as well. And when each pair discovered their commonality, there were handshakes, and with some there was an explosion of hugs and high fives and group selfies and, look at you. And they were genuinely delighted to find they had something in common. And when I was watching this, I saw the wisdom in this outwardly frivolous activity as people were starting to see each other as human beings rather than the enemy, rather than the other side. And do not underestimate the power of creating those kinds of alignments with people that we're now looking at as on the wrong side of things. Because as soon as we target someone as the enemy in our minds, the other, creating characterizations about them, when we see the other side as the bad guy, well, we're creating a divide that needs to be bridged before the healing can happen. And it has to happen within our own hearts first before we see it in the outer world. And so we do the work within ourselves, and then it seeps out into our families, and then our immediate environment, and then our community, and then out into the world. That's how it works, inside out work. And when we are able to reduce the commentary of the judgmental mind by bringing heart and mind together, now the deeper truth can emerge. The love that we are can shine through unencumbered. When I can calmly see my own inner drama that I'm presently connecting to a person or event outside of myself, when I can see it and no longer let it draw me in, guess what? That's called awakening. That's called empowerment. And it's transformative work when we do that. Eckhart Tolle reminds us, you are the beginning of the transformed world. You are. Can you feel the power of that? And it's happening right now if we don't resist and block its emergence. We don't have to make it happen. We make it welcome. As the Buddhist teacher Ellen Watts said, Nirvana is right where you are, provided you don't object to it. And I thought, oh yeah, I've decided it's time for me to stop reacting in fear and pushing away nirvana. Are you with me? Can we all agree this is not a good use of our time? We control our inner life by putting the power of the heart at the helm, and stop letting the news out there affect our state of mind as we remember who we are. And I have to say this so that I can hear it. Stop letting the news out there affect my state of mind. And by news out there, I'm also including the latest Facebook post or the current X Twitter sphere outrage. And contemplative work helps us to do that. And here's why. Connecting to the heart increases our immunity to that mass reactivity that's going on. Let me say it again. Connecting to our heart increases our immunity to it all. We're able to see it and be in it, but not let it take us away. The author's Wei Kwok suggests that love, which can help us do this, is maybe our most underdeveloped superpower. And we especially need it whenever we become paralyzed by fear from believing our stressful thoughts. Do you know what I mean by this? This is one for me too. When that happens, what happens is the fight or flight stress response kicks in very efficiently within us. And then our higher thinking skills go offline. It's part of the fight or flight system. And then I find myself putting all my energies, all my thoughts into the opposite of what I want. Now I'm fretting and it's going to be this, and I'm, what, blah, blah, blah. I can become the world's greatest fiction writer. I should be, because the fictions I make up in my head are taking me places I don't want to go. You see, when I put all my energies into the very opposite of what I truly want, what do I think is going to happen? I can't help but set up a self-defeating stream of negativity. But I recently read something that touched me, and it was that fear is just looking for our love. And so when these fearful thoughts come up, they're just looking for the love that we are to embrace them, to say, it's okay, it's okay, it's going to be okay, we're safe, whatever we do. And so again, it's our underdeveloped superpower of love that is the answer. And I don't know about you, but I think it's time for us to prove these principles we teach. It's time. And that's what will bring forth this spiritual renaissance. I firmly believe that. So do not underestimate the power of combined heart-centered intention married with peaceful, compassionate action. That's the formula. And so the question, how many meditators does it take to change a culture? The answer, just one more you. That's all. As every one of us awakens to this and starts to join into it, that's how it works. But it all starts within, as we first learn to rewire our egoic reactivity. That's what we're dealing with here when we have this reactive, response. The author Pam Grote, I highly recommend her book. She says this: we are here at this remarkable time on planet Earth to expand the universe, not to win Academy Awards for how talented we are at suffering. And I don't know about you, but I'm vying for that award for years. And I'm getting out of the running. I'm withdrawing the nomination. No more, no more. These times call for a deeper dive into our spiritual practice. It is the moment now for us to step into who we've come here to be, to own our power, to feel our strength, to let our heart be the guide, to lead the way, and become a vehicle for change as we create together this beautiful world of peace, a world of compassion, a world of kindness, with rights, equal rights for all beings, where everyone can thrive. Can you just imagine that with me and know that it's the power of love in action? So here are a couple of questions to consider. It's actually one question applied a couple different ways. What is one area of your personal life that you can practice your spiritual principles and demonstrate love in action? Just consider that. And then what about community life or out into the world? Well, could you do the same thing? Practice these principles of oneness, one life living itself through and as each one of us, divinely connected with all beings and being love in action. So that's the bottom line. What we need is what we are, and that is love in action. So I'm going to invite us all to put that into practice right now as we take some time to create this heart-centered meditative experience together. And so I'll just invite you, however you are sitting or wherever you are, to just relax into the moment. I'm going to sit on my chair now, my stool, and let's release all the activity of the day, all the hurrying to get here on time or whatever else has been going on in our world. Just gently set it aside as we become present, totally present to this time, this space, this connected circle. It looks like squares or rectangles, but just imagine we are in a circle of love coming together, each one of us opening our hearts. And so we can begin by putting our hand on our heart. And when we do that, it actually starts the oxytocin flowing in the body, which is the hormone that makes us feel connected. And so we start to follow the breath in and out. And imagine breathing right into your heart space. Just follow the breath right into the chest area. And feel your heart begin to warm. I invite you to bring into your mind's eye someone or something that can activate a feeling of gratitude as you think about a person, a beloved person, or maybe a cherished pet. You could also choose a memory that warms your heart, or a peaceful, beautiful spot that you love to go to and visit. Whatever it is, whoever it is, start to feel gratitude bubbling up. I just have to think of any one of my little grandsons, and it's already happening for me. And let this feeling of gratitude just gently begin to expand. So you want to feel your heart opening. You want to feel this gratitude warming your heart as it starts to radiate from within. Michael Brown calls gratitude the fragrance of the present moment. And that is, when we become present, gratitude is present. It is the fragrance. So we let that feeling grow and expand as we continue thinking about that person or that thing, and we let it move beyond the heart and just notice this feeling of gratitude spreading throughout your body. It's warmth. And as it moves through your body, it's bathing every cell with a healing vibration of appreciation. It's a higher vibration, moving into raising our frequency. Just imagine and notice every single cell coming to life, feeling invigorated as it fills our bodies, as our bodies become saturated in appreciation. We feel our aliveness. Now we take a breath and we let it move beyond the body. Move outward, creating sacred space. With each beat of our heart, we radiate it beyond the body, beyond the room we're sitting in. As we contribute to bringing peace on earth, being the change we're seeking, bringing this presence of gratitude and love into our world, being a vehicle through which spirit can express in its fullness. So we know the truth. All we need is love. And as we tap into the need we have to give love, we discover a never-ending fountain of divine love that lives within us, this universal benevolence that is never-ending, ever increasing. Each one of us here to help to transform our world into a kinder, more compassionate place where it is safe to be who we are, where we are connected to all of life and we become aware of that connection. And for the opportunity on this day to come together, to be the change that we're seeking in the world, and to practice love in action. We are grateful. And so it is. Amen.